Leftover lasagne.
Leftover lasagna.
Lasagna? No way.
It's a type of sandwich.
Some kind of gross pasta.
Leftover lasagna is a
podcast
hosted by
my
Nitin
church
and Tony uncle. Leftover lasagna.
Very funny name.
Hello and welcome to Leftover Lasagna, the podcast that has ironically been given a mature rating because of its immature content. That is right. This is the pod that is waging wars against aging scars. The podcast that is staunch about its silliness, methodical about its madness, and tries so hard to be funny that we actually succeed. Succeed is also the result of eating a mango correctly, much like the way we destroy the subject matter at hand in each episode. This is the pod that tries to grow up with each episode and also imposes a penalty on complaining. That's right, we age like fine wine and we have a fine for wines. We may not have many followers, but we ensure that the ones who do fall over each time. When we say pod, you say poda. This is episode 41 with your trippy hippies. I am Tony, the stand up guy whom cool kids look at and say, Uncle, you please sit down. And joining me is the stud muffin whom aunties look at and say, you please lie down. The man whom you would happily let mess up your fitted sheets. The man who you wish would untuck you in bed and put down memories and foam on your memory foam. The one and only Nitin Sudhir. Say hi.
All I'll say is thank you so much for steering clear of the sit down stand up joke or the tuck in whatever else joke that was like asking to be cracked. I'm proud of you, Tony. Well done. But the topic for today is growing old, aging. In case Tony's beautiful intro did not
Correct.
hint at it already.
Yeah.
One of the best signs of aging is where you start cracking the same jokes again and again, thinking you're cracking it for the first time. I am sure your succeed joke is making its way to the Leftover Lasagna podcast for the second, if not the third time. So,
how would you know? You don't even know jokes that you make.
I know, but the ones that you make.
Actually, when we speak about aging and all, this is a very typical characteristic of my dad that we've noticed earlier on. My brother, mom, and I, is that whenever there is a movie that comes on, he'll be like, "Hey, we've seen this movie, except we've never seen that movie." And whenever a movie comes on which we've seen, he's like, "Hey, I've never seen this movie." Like, so yeah, I think these are all repeat jokes. You have only 3 stories which you can tell. We've covered this ground. I don't know how we are still at episode 41.
Until we meet again in episode number 42. See you, bye-bye.
Yeah. So Nitin, prolonged absence from the country itself. What is happening? Where have you been?
I'm in the country now only, what you're saying. No, yeah, we've been trying hard to record this episode for the last couple of weeks because of my broken schedules in random places with not great internet connectivity. Things could not make headway. And so I have come to the Silicon Valley of India, Bangalore, in order to have good unfettered internet access and record this podcast. So here we are.
So, going against the grain, as it were. Tell us, Nitin, what have you been up to, man?
What have I been up to? Nothing. So I visited 2 beautiful countries in the Balkan part of the world. So from the balcony, as they would say. So I spent a couple of weeks in Montenegro and Albania. Both beautiful countries. I would largely recommend. Easy to go because you don't need to bust your ass to get Schengen visas, etc.
Oh, this is interesting because Negro means black in Spanish and Alba would mean white, right?
Oh, wow.
Alba Celeste is, white and blue. Oh, so black and white.
Albino alligator. So I don't know if Albania's etymology has anything to do with white, but Montenegro literally means black mountain. So there was some rating recently, right? Which I think you only shared. Country names that are racist, and Montenegro came a strong second, following Nigeria.
This is a tribute to your favorite series of all time, right? Which is Breaking Bad, where Mr. White and Mr. Black, right, come together to make
Mr. Black.
Grey Industries.
Who's Mr. Black?
His partner who screwed him over is black, no? Isn't that why they are called Grey Industries or something?
Wait a sec. What is her name? Gretchen Schwartz, right? Some fund.
Oh, Schwartz is black, huh? No, they
Shorts
call
black.
gray, no?
They call it grey. Yeah, I know. Wait, let's actually.
Yeah, because one of those
fact check
means.
this because it is important.
Wow, this is signs of aging here, right here as we speak.
Schwarz. Yeah. Schwarz is the German origin meaning black. Yeah.
There you go.
So Arnold Schwarzenegger is basically.
Black, black. Double black, like Johnny Walker.
Hasta la vista, baby. I'll be black. Double black.
At what point is this racist? It's not, no? We're just.
I don't know. The problem is on podcasts like this, the people who are talking don't realize it until they put it out there and then people cancel them.
This
So
is
you
another sign of aging when you don't know that you are being racist while saying something. I'm like,
No,
yeah,
that is
this
just the
not
act of
racist.
being human. That is just the act of being human. Basically, poor judgment is not an age-related criteria. But then we should already prepare our apology speeches, right? Like that CEO of that company who
We are
unfortunately
pre-cancelled, no?
Yeah,
Like we are
pre-cancelled.
pre-cancelled.
But no, I think this time it might be real. So we'll have to say, oh, I really, I feel sorry about the lack of judgment. I've let down my wife, my son, my dog, my family, my co-podcaster. Most importantly, my co-podcaster who has caught the flack,
Yeah.
because of me.
Okay, so aging, right? And this topic brought to us by the ironically youngest person we know who's also just celebrated his birthday last week, Mohan Krishnamurthy. Thank you for pointing this out
Happy
as a
birthday,
potential
Mohan.
topic.
Yeah.
I mean, for listeners who don't know, I don't think it's particularly relevant, but if you've seen Hank with us, you'll know that he's not of the same age group as us, right? Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
He's, I would say, in his 60s, probably early 60s, something like that.
Yeah. And though we may look it, we are not yet there.
Our words of wisdom, we're just like wise beyond our years. That is all.
Yeah.
So one of the interesting questions that I wanted to ask you was two things, right? While we'll get into aging and what it means, I'm sure you'll bring some random science stuff into it, and some Huberman labs will show up at some point.
Zero.
And sugar is the HB and all of that. But who's the youngest friend you have who's not family? What is the difference in age?
Youngest friend.
Like Hank very clearly has friends who are half his age, right?
Yeah.
And he's actively cultivated that because when he was in Bombay like 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, is when he sort of, we all used to meet up and hang out, and he's just kept that continually going, right? And I feel like age, while it is just a number, is also actually a mindset, right? And I think that is one thing that I wanted to ask you, is that we've never invested in cultivating friends of an age group that's less than ours, right? I mean, all of our friends are probably older.
Yeah. I barely cultivate effort into making friends of my own age. So forget people who are younger than me. Just people who are my age. So no, I don't think I have any close friends.
So we are starting with an attack of ourselves, that we've never bothered sort of keeping in touch with a younger generation, being exposed to fresh ideas and keeping ourselves younger in that sense, right? And why this is important is, I think in the last episode I mentioned that I've never used AI, right? And there is this pertinent quote from Douglas Adams, who was a loss at a very, very early age, right? Because he was like just got everything way before it happened, right? And he basically has written a set of 3 rules I'm quoting now. I've come up with a set of rules that describe our reactions to technologies, Douglas Adams says. 1, anything that is in the world when you're born is normal and ordinary and is just a natural part of the way the world works. 2, anything that's invented between when you're 15 and 35 is new and exciting and revolutionary, and you can probably get a career in it. And 3, anything invented after you are 35 is against the natural order of things, right? And in that sense, while we've sort of ridden the wave of the new age internet, as it were, I myself at least find my bashing of AI and stuff like that a little too reactionary, probably, considering I am over the 35 hill in that sense, which points to, I mean, I don't know. what do you think about these rules set by Douglas Adams?
Beautiful rules. My first thought, though, is Tony, you're two different people on the two different podcasts that you participate in. Do you know that? On Leftover Lasagna, you become this reflective person who looks at yourself and says, "Gee, what a stupid person I am. Look at my
Correct.
biases and my
Yeah.
foils." And then on the other
Correct.
podcast, you're
I am the uncle. Yeah.
Yeah, and proudly so.
See,
No.
I need content to sort of make fun of myself with, right? So Bits and Pieces provides that.
Yeah,
Eat your own dog food.
correct. Exactly. Yeah. No, nice rules. Nice rules. I like it. Yeah. Actually, Tony, you're not giving yourself enough credit. Of course, you're a few years younger than me. I think one of the biggest signs of, that age divide that you're talking about, like we are people in our 30s tending towards 40s. And then there is the Gen Z crowd, and there are, I think, a couple of generations between them and us anyway. I think the divide between us and the generation before us, to me, is the ease with which you're able to update a post on Instagram. Right? And I'm serious. If you are shooting a video or uploading a video and trying to make some edits to it, say crop or whatever, add
Correct.
music to it, add some text to it, make it look coherent, make it look nice, and then upload it using your two fingers. You're doing a video edit with two fingers is, I think, for me, really, that is the Rubicon, right? There are certain people who can do it, and there are certain people who cannot. And I am the person who cannot. And people of my age group and beyond me have no chance, right? But the world has, of course, moved. And the 2-3 generations, the intervening generation I'm talking about is the one, there's one that is comfortable with Instagram but has no idea what Discord or Roblox mean. And then there is the generation now which is comfortable with Discord or Roblox, which is probably not comfortable with whatever the next newfangled AI thing is. Yeah, so there are many levels to this. So yeah, you should give yourself some credit because you had a thriving Instagram Reels scene going on for a while.
Yeah, the problem is I was the only one giving myself credit. That is why that experiment ended after a point in time. But the interesting thing here is that I used to be a complete Instagram noob. I think I took to it very, very late. I don't know if Divya Panwati is listening to this episode, but she's the one who basically told me how to use Instagram.
Oh, now it explains it. So you are not born knowing all this stuff. Okay.
No.
Maybe I should meet her. Maybe I'll also learn how to use it.
One of the questions that I wanted to ask with all of this is that over a period of time, you move past the structured sort of growing old process, right? Once you are out of school, once you're out of college, and if you get out of corporate, then that's a big one. But generally, once you're sort of past a certain age, and let's say you're the head of the family, as it were, you're allowed to sort of have finite views which don't need to change, right? If you are the person technically in charge of the remote control and decides what news channel to watch in your household, then it's almost like you don't have to change your opinions at any point in time, right? In Malayalam, there is actually a pertinent saying.
The patriarch can shit on the plate. Yeah. Wow, I've never heard that before. Neither have our 7 listeners.
No, that's it. It was mentioned only on Bits and Pieces, not in Leftover Lasagna, right? But yeah, the patriarch can shit on the plate, right? Or stove, or whatever. But the point being, when is the last time you changed your mind about something big, Nitin Sundar? You moved from, I'm guessing, having some sort of faith in God and religion. No, you never did.
Yeah, no, that I lost like very young.
Were you a homophobe at some point?
No.
Racist?
Yeah, no, nothing in a long time. But that could also be a sign of perfection, no? Like you reached the absolute best. What you have now is like perfect. There's nothing more that needs to change.
No one has ever thrown this accusation at you of perfection, except me during the intros, which is true. But like, what would it take for you to change your mind on something you fundamentally believe in right now, right? And what does that process look like?
Yeah, it was always evidential, right? So if you show me evidence, then I will.
So what is the last thing that you changed your mind about? And when did it happen?
I think my optimism for India is the last thing I changed my mind. The last big thing I changed my mind about, probably 10 years back. I don't know when. Yeah.
So the last 10 years, nothing has changed. This is dire, man.
Yeah. What about you? Looks like you have an.
No. I mean, I also don't know what will it take to change my mind? But in the last few years, several things I've at least sort of come to a realization on. And what you call evidence is actually, I think, examination in that sense, right? Because you're sort of going ahead, not just researching and educating yourself, you're having experiences and you're sort of learning more in terms of empathy, and then you're internalizing it and you're questioning your framework, right? I would say, like, actually, Hari Shenoy asked me this last week when we were on a phone conversation. And the thing that I told him is the one thing that has definitely changed is that I used to believe that if you presented facts to people, you could change their mind, right? How naive of me. We changed long back. I think in that sense is growing up a loss of innocence, maybe. But the other thing that I reverted to was this debate that we had quite a while back, right? I think last week or the week before that, which is I always used to be like the non-corporate corporate guy, right? Like, why am I in this job at any point in time is a question that everyone would ask, including myself. I still think I am. I mean, I mean, given the litany of expletive-laden stuff and hot takes that I've put on the internet, I mean, my career as a corporate honcho has ended long before, right? Not that I was interested in it anyway, but I've come around to the understanding that work can actually be important for people, right? And for the large pool of people, it is important. The other thing would be that looking good is important, right? I would have said that it doesn't matter how you look. Probably a couple of years, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I've changed my view on that.
These are very basic things that you got there very late. But okay. Not only are you a late boomer, you're also a late bloomer. That's you were saying?
No, I think the question around aging is, can you sort of keep your mind flexible enough to change it when provided with alternate evidence, so to speak, right? I think the biggest sort of thing our extended group collectively had was the cancelling of Gideon Hay, right? How do you say his name? Haig. Hey.
Hey. Hey.
Hey.
Hey. Hey.
Hey, guy.
First, to say who Gideon Hay is. This is not that podcast. You'll have to explain.
Tell.
You only. Okay. Gideon Hay is broadly considered one of the greatest cricket writers of all time. He recently published a collaborative biography of Wasim Akram, who's a great bowler. He has also written a book on Shane Warne, which is very, very popular, and several other books. In fact, he's not known just for his cricket writing. He's also written non-cricket books, which are very popular. Was a journalist and a podcaster on cricket for a very long time. Has written several scathing takes on cricket. Until recently, when he went to the disputed Gaza Strip, I think, on a junket which was sponsored by Israel, and came back and wrote a piece about the standoff between Israel and Palestine.
Genocide.
Okay. The genocide. Sorry. Yeah, no mincing words there. Yeah, he came back and wrote a very strange take on the genocide, taking the side of the Israelis. And without any of the usual kind of cogency and strength with which he normally builds arguments when it comes to cricket or nuance, which was very shocking for a lot of us who have read his stuff over the years. And
what grated more than the piece itself was then it was a piece.
And then he later doubled down on Twitter when people questioned what he was trying to say, and there were a lot of ad hominem attacks to people who questioned what he was writing, which all didn't seem like Gideon at all, and made us all very giddy. And said, "Hey, nada edreni." So that's where we are at right now. So, yeah.
Back to the original point being that I don't know, how do you keep yourself young? Oh, first of all, do you need to keep yourself young?
Firstly, I don't know if it is keeping yourself young, right? I don't know what the term is. What you're saying is, can you always be ready to question your assumptions and your beliefs about things and be willing to change? I think the moment you say, yes, I am, that itself is a very old fogey stance. You're saying that, I'm perfect because, all this experience that I've gained over the years, I know what is coming and I can change my opinion. So it's See, the self-awareness in this case needs to be internalized rather than stated out aloud. Because the moment you state it aloud, the cat is dead. Because then,
Oh, what? Really? I don't think
a bit
so.
like that.
You are going
Go on.
against the biggest fundamental, which says that the best way to counteract a bias is to make yourself aware of it, right? And call it out. Like if you are sort of.
I'm saying merely calling it out doesn't mean you overcome the bias.
It's step one, obviously. Come on. I would say, like, okay, what does the term uncle mean to you?
It's a very bad pejorative. I don't like that term.
Why? Why is it?
Because I am one of them. See, no, look at us only, no? So, the last 20 minutes, we've been speaking, it's about aging. You said, isn't it important to be young? Which is, by itself, conveys a certain bias, right? Because you're automatically...
Yeah.
It's like the pejorative associated to the word dark, right? Which then gets subsumed in many other different contexts.
No, it's not.
No, dark is just the absence of light.
I'm not stating a demographic based pejorative, right? It's a state of mind is essentially what I'm saying, right? I'm not saying an uncle is anyone who turns passes the age of 35 or 40 or whatever.
Your earlier question was, do you think you're still young, right? Do you think you're still young? You did.
How do you keep yourself young?
We have time step. Exactly. Why is it important to keep yourself young? Because what is wrong in not being young, right?
This is the exact question that I asked. Like, is there a moral judgment in?
Exactly.
I mean, is there a moral value to being young? Say.
Yeah. There is, right, and I'm not okay with it.
So basically, uncle is anyone who is very sure of how the world should work and finds it important to tell people that this is how the world works, right? And that's what we are essentially railing against. Okay, so in Malayalam, there is this beautiful phrase called Tanda vibe, right? Tanda vibe. Tanda actually means dad, and vibe is his vibe. Yeah, but Tanda vibe is a better description than uncle, this thing, right? It is essentially someone who feels the need to dish out advice and also sort of criticize anything that you do, right? That is what we are sort of guarding against, right? So there are, one part is the acceptance that you are wrong very often, but the second part is empathy towards the younger version of you, right? Which is to say that do you look at life as like a storybook that unfolds, which means that the end state is what matters, and whatever led to it was sort of part of that journey, or whatever it is? Or are you saying that life is an integration by parts, right? Like whatever you were when you were 10, whatever you were when you were 15, whatever you were when you were 20 also counts to the life that you've lived, right? It's not like just because time is linear, life works that way, right? What does this mean is that essentially philosophers have existed since the beginning of time, right? And they've all arrived at the same answer, that there is no point to life. Life is meaningless, and you make mistakes as you go along, and that is fine, and you get to be okay with that, right? Where an uncle comes in is basically the philosophy that, look, I made all these mistakes, so you don't have to, right? Like now I know better, don't do these things, right? That is where uncle becomes a pejorative and a tanda vibe in that sense, right? So I don't think that there is a your past self is something that is outside of your life, right? It was very much part of you. Yes or no? Do you agree or no?
Yeah, I agree. But at the same time, I think it's okay for people who have been through certain experiences to share the wealth of knowledge and time that they have. If my mistakes can stop you from making the same mistakes, then that I think is good knowledge to be shared. And
really?
Yeah, why not? Take it or leave it, but it is good knowledge to be shared and to be aware of.
Oh, so you have to give gyan, but with the idea that people don't have to take it. Okay, fine, but
correct.
Okay, so let me put it a different way. Let me put it in the way that we are ourselves, right? So there's this tweet from someone which then got shared a bunch of times, which really got my goat because I'm an uncle, which said, "Dear old people, waking up at 6 a.m., tending to a garden, eating dinner at 5 p.m., reading books, and going to bed at 9:30 p.m. feels amazing. I was wrong. You were right." Right?
The reason you feel attacked is because you're still not doing any of that. You are actually the young person here. When did you wake up at 5 a.m. last time in your life? Hello.
അതെ നാളെ സ്കേറ്റിംഗ് ഉണ്ട് ബട്ട് No, I agree with this take largely. But the point is that there is an age and stage to everything, right? It doesn't mean that in your 20s you should eat dinner at 5 p.m. and go to sleep at 9 p.m. and tend to a garden or whatever, right? At age 20, you're still supposed to be doing what you were doing, which is making a bunch of mistakes, getting drunk, getting life experiences, so that later at a point in time you arrive at it, right? So the whole point of human evolution is not a discovery to say that the ideal bedtime is 8 p.m. or 10 p.m, right? There is no, you were at age X doing some things that made sense to you, and people should continue to do that.
So there are two ways to do that, right? One is by not giving advice. The other is by giving only the right advice.
which this is not possible.
You can either be
solution is giving problem.
What you're saying is you can't be a sevak, basically, is what you're saying. Because a sevak is an uncle who is going to give you advice all the time. Right? He's going to give you good advice and bad advice. Some of it is going to be success, and some of them are going to get his wicket. Right? And then there's the Dravid type of uncle who is not giving you any advice. Right? He's just going to let every ball outside off stump go. Right?
Yeah.
Now that is good because he remains a good uncle, but as in he doesn't become an uncle per se. But you're not learning anything from his life experience. Avuncular. But you're not learning anything from his life experience, though it is very rich and varied, because he's not sharing anything with you. Right? I think both are wrong, right? So there is an ideal uncle who is the Tendulkar, let's say, who will only play the correct shots, leaves the balls that needs to be left alone, and hits the others to the boundary, right? Now, your question, your point is, don't be a Sevak. I think both of us agree on that one, right? But what you're saying is, it's better to be a Dravid, because that is what is possible. I'm saying you can aspire to be a Tendulkar. Yeah.
Obviously, you think I don't give Gyana.
No, I don't.
I think I'll be the first person to disagree with that, right? But the point is, I think again to PDP's point, right, about how he writes or the kind of writing he likes is when the person is sort of going through their experience to say this is what happened to me, right? And you're sharing it from your point of view, and you're not generalizing it for the entire world, right? And you're sort of saying this is where I come from, these are the experiences I went through, and therefore this is my position on things, right? Which is a much better way of doing it. So I'm not necessarily questioning that, right?
The problem is this: even when you come up with a take as nuanced as the way PDP would give uncle advice, imagine how PDP would uncle write. He would actually say that this is what I went through, this is what I learned, and hence this is what I would like to share with you, take it or leave it. The unfortunate problem with the lack of nuance in the world right now is he will be labeled an uncle regardless of how well he states.
No, that's not true, man. Come on.
And that, no, it is true.
That uncle is cool uncle. There's a cool uncle also. Okay, wait. If we were to slap a label on it, basically LinkedIn is uncle content, right? It's basically. See,
no,
that's.
I don't agree. LinkedIn is not uncle content.
Why?
LinkedIn is not even aimed at young people. LinkedIn is completely self-promotion.
Exactly.
It is the opposite of uncle. It is the most immature kind of content, right? It is not uncle content. It is not trying to be of help to anybody except him oneself.
Okay. I think we need to define uncle. See, your uncle, my uncle is basically the guy who was talking about, the war in 62 and what happened. And the best thing India should have is a dictator, because these guys can't follow orders. Stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Which is what LinkedIn is, man. It's like
LinkedIn's not that. LinkedIn is not that at all.
Explain.
LinkedIn is, here is me with this. I have taken a selfie with the great Bill Gates because he came to my office canteen and gave a speech, and his ideas about blah 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 resonated so much with me, so much to learn, humbled and glad to share this news. That is not uncling.
Let me ask you a different question. Are there parts of you that you look back and say, I don't recognize about myself, or like that was not me?
Uncledom is a permanent state of accomplishment. It is the journey to uncledom that counts. It is not the destination. Is what you're trying to say.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite uncle growing up? I always used to have this uncle who would come and he'd come to drink with my dad, but he'd always get like lots of chocolates for us. And
Easy to.
plenty of uncles came otherwise, but still
Yeah.
like that uncle is his favorite uncle because he thought about you, right? And he said, okay, fine, some chocolate for kids from
Yeah.
bakery run by Joseph Kurivila.
Yeah. My dad's elder brother was easily the favorite uncle. My dad was the favorite uncle for most people, obviously not for me because he's my dad. But my dad's elder brother was definitely the favorite uncle for both me and my brother growing up. Simple things, right? He had this video cassette of Terminator 2, which was, the movie that I watched the most times. The English movie that I watched the most times. It's actually my favorite all-time Hollywood
Double
film.
black.
Hands down. Double black, yes. Things like that, right? Small things like that which he would introduce us to, and then finer things in life which otherwise you don't get access to easily. Of course, some of these don't even apply anymore to kids, right? That is the other thing. It's tough to be a cool uncle now.
No, actually, you are the cool uncle. Okay, this is okay. I think we finally arrived at the framework. Is that everyone can live life on a spectrum that varies from whimsy to intensity, right?
Huh.
You can take the same topic or the same experience and sort of be the guy that I am on bits and pieces, where you're sort of clobbering down saying, you idiots don't know anything, and sort of going at it saying, I have the right to say what I say because I have so much passion about it and I'm so intense about it. Or
Yeah.
you could look at it from the side of whimsy to say, everything is pointless anyway. Why don't
Correct.
we laugh along, right? And
Yeah.
I think that is what differentiates, while uncle becoming an uncle age wise is inevitable, your take on things as should it be whimsy based or intensity based for the age group that I'm relating with is probably what uncledom is about.
Amazing. Now that we've cracked it, Tony, are we going to see a different version of you on bits and pieces going forward? Or are you going to continue to rail about how all of us have been brainwashed by the brown nosing English media into loving Ben Stokes and Basball?
Different podcast. But once again, what I want to ask you is, you are the uncle that embraces whimsy at all times, right? And you love sort of chaperoning kids, going with them, doing fun stuff. No,
Who loves chaperoning kids?
you just spent this weekend playing board
Do
games,
it.
and what is the other silly thing that you did? Something.
The reason we played board games with kids was so that the kids would play board games, so that then they would be distracted, so that then the adults could play board games. That is what the long game was. And it all worked out fine. They finished their game, then they were settled down with popcorn and a movie, so that the adults, their parents, could play a board game as well on the side. This is it's just the work you need to do. That's about it.
Hey, this is the problem, Dad. This is the problem.
this problem.
Okay, divorce yourself from the situation and talk to me about how you can be a uncle of whimsy versus an uncle of intensity, and is there a difference there that you see as people age? How seriously should one take oneself? Is this
Zero.
defined by age?
No. Yeah, you should never take yourself seriously. Right. The challenge is this.
Yeah.
It is very easy to be a good fun uncle if everything in the world were very certain and simple, right? The problem is our kids are facing a very uncertain future. Or I guess this is true for every generation,
Wow,
not just
there you go.
not just our kids.
This
Competition
is a
is
proper
real.
uncle take. I love it.
No, this is not. It's actually timeless. I'm saying, see, competition is real. Ultimately, what are you trying to do, right? Like, as a parent or as a human being, the biggest reason you exist is to propagate your genes, right? This is Darwinian.
Okay.
I'm not saying it. Powers on earth. Yeah. So, yeah, as a life form, the only reason you exist is to pass on the best traits of yourself to your offspring so that they can pass it on further. And that's why you exist, right? Quite simply.
Yeah.
Now, if you take that one level deeper, it is also about ensuring your kids have the best possible futures, lives, whatever, where they are strong, happy, competitive, compassionate, passionate, everything, and successful at the end of the day. Right?
Yeah.
Now, it's very easy to be a whimsical, fun uncle or parent in a world where none of these was uncertain.
Okay.
But for every generation,
But when has it ever been certain?
it's never. That's what I'm saying, and that is the challenge. That is why every generation ends up uncling to an extent, and my sympathies lie with the older generations here. The reason we end up becoming that way is because of the way the world is structured. and that probably won't change. Otherwise, it's very easy to be a whimsical uncle, right? Who can't be the fun uncle, or who doesn't want? You think, why are uncles or aunts preferred to parents, right? Because they give you the chocolates, they indulge you. Why don't your parents indulge you? Because their stakes in indulging you are a little more sharp, right? I literally had this conversation with my niece a couple of days back.
Oh, this is another thing that happens when you're an uncle. You worry about your knees a lot, especially if you're running.
And your hips. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I was literally, so my niece now has half an hour of screen time per day. And I
Okay.
think 1 hour on the weekends, right? And she really treasures, guards that time. Like, and if she loses that time today, she has to catch up, make up for it tomorrow, etc. To the extent that, like she's literally planning a day around, okay, this is when I get my computer time and so on. So I told her, why don't you have a conversation with your parents and say, hey, I don't agree with screen time restrictions and I should be given as
Yeah.
much time as I want, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's an easy conversation for me to have as the
For
uncle.
you
I
to
don't have
have,
to
yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal
Yeah.
with the whatever it entails, right? The parents have obviously
Yeah.
made the wise choice or the whatever, an informed choice in rationing screen time. It's easy to be the fun
Yeah.
uncle, the whimsical uncle, when your stakes involved are lesser, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah, okay. I think it's an important time for us to delineate two things. What I wanted to sort of delineate was I'm not necessarily talking about when you're in a position of responsibility, right? In that case, let's face it, we've never mentioned women yet as part of this aging episode.
You remember that ad, the hair dye ad? Auntie, 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 auntie. You remember that ad?
No, I don't know what
Oh,
is this.
dude, there's this ad. There is a lady. It used
Now
to
the
come
podcast is
way
starting.
back in the 90s. This used to come in the 90s in Doordarshan. That's where I've seen it. I think it's a Black Rose Kali Mehendi ad or something. So
Okay.
this lady is walking down the stairs or something, and I think there's a guy who is obviously younger than her, but not like significantly younger. So might be like a young son's elder friend or something of that kind. That boy
Yeah.
looks at her and says, "Hi, auntie." And in
Hmm.
her mind, then the camera focus pans into her, and she's like shocked that she's been called an auntie, and auntie, 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 auntie echoes in the background, and then
Yeah.
she gets Black Rose Kali Mehendi. Next time she walks down the stairs, she's not called auntie, and this guy looks up at her. So it's a very popular ad. I think maybe it
Okay.
came more often
Lovely.
in Doordarshan in Tamil Nadu than it did in
Yeah.
other parts of the
Now,
country.
now you've come to the party. Well done. So, the distinction that I wanted to make was it has nothing to do with when we're talking about uncle, we're talking about generic uncle, and a woman can also be an uncle, right? And the reason why we are not going in the other direction is because, as much as we talk about it, as much as you want to say you or I won't claim it that we are woke dads. The emotional labor in parenting is always much different for women than it is for men, right? And therefore their aging also, even if you're an auntie taking people out as opposed to an uncle taking people out, there is a difference, right? So let's stay clear of where it is sort of familial. I'm only talking about how you approach situations per se, and your take on the same thing can be uh, intense or whimsical or a mix of both, right? And the reason why uncle takes become uncle takes is that by virtue of just advancing in age, you're automatically looked at as a provider. You're automatically looked at as the head of a family. You're automatically looked at as someone senior in your job because there are people reporting to you, and therefore you automatically think any words that come out of your mouth have value, right?
Correct.
A, this may not be the case. B,
Correct.
you don't necessarily have to treat it that way either, right? And that is a function of how you look at life as opposed to anything else. That is the point that I was bringing to bear. So there's an uncle take on the same thing, and there's a youthful take on the same thing, which can come from the same person.
I get you, and I think this is the segue to the next section, which I want to talk about.
Yeah.
But I still rail against the idea of you saying the opposite of uncledom is youthfulness, because that still is very ageist, and
Okay,
I
fine.
disagree with that. Just from
Okay,
an
fine.
etymology perspective, I'm against that because it's what
Okay.
it is. So you spoke about the workplace, right, where senior people, by virtue of being of a certain rank and whatever seniority, are believed to be accorded
Correct.
certain respect, or expect a certain kind of respect and value to whatever they say.
So if you've seen, let's say, any, I don't know, town hall meeting, breakfast meeting, whatever happens, the CEO or someone senior will say some random stupid joke, and everyone will laugh way more
Exactly.
than if some
If someone else had
junior
said
person
it.
says it. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And they're
are
not
expected
fake
to.
laughing, right? It is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's an internalized real laugh, whatever you want to call
Correct.
it, right?
Yeah.
But this brings me to the point that I want to talk about broadly about respect for seniority, right, and what that means.
Yeah.
Firstly, let's start with respect for age itself, right? And there's this very irritating thing that you see in North India, much more prevalent in North India, where it's
the paid character actually shits in the paint.
I remember when my in-laws were visiting me, or my in-laws were staying with me and Shruti, and some friend of us, one of our batchmates, a North Indian guy, was visiting us. He came home, he said hi to the two of us, and then suddenly went and touched the feet of my in-laws. Right, and I was shocked. Like, what the fuck is he doing? I've never touched their feet. Why is he touching their feet? What is this? But this is a thing, right? He doesn't know them. He's never met them before. He's never going to meet them again. But it is considered okay and acceptable for him to go and touch their feet, and it is acceptable for them to bless him also. Like, what are these people blessing him for?
Right.
Like, what? Who bestowed this? This pulpit to them. That I firstly find that people expecting to be respected just because of their age is something that I very strongly abhor, right? And it's part of Indian culture, and I think it's very, very, very prevalent in the North. And I find it shocking because it's just like, what the fuck? That's one thing. But let's go to the other thing that you said, right? Like, which is about the corporate ladder. I think it's known fact. I don't think it's controversial to state this, but people generally who are more senior are earning more money and are doing far less work than people who are younger, who are made to work much harder for far lesser money. Now, if you roll back time,
have you heard of this Google introduced term called HIPPO? It's highest paid person's opinion.
Correct. Highest paid person's opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
So just when Google was coming in saying, you have data to now counteract the highest paid person's opinion and stuff like that. Yeah. But anyway, go on.
Now, if you roll back and see why it is the way it is, right? All work, organized work, probably began in the fields. Agriculture, probably.
Are you going to Hugh Aldoa?
I'm not going. At least this is not something I've heard from him. This is something that I'm myself hypothesizing. No, but work hierarchy is probably in the early years of animal husbandry, or maybe before that, even in the hunter-gatherer times. See the difference between the human race and any other race. Like you look at lions, for instance, right? Random example. Lions hunt and eat, and eventually, why do lions die? Because they get too old or they're injured, and then they're not able to hunt and eat for themselves, and their family is not going to provide for them, right? Or their community is not going to provide for them. If you become an old lion, you die because you're not capable of hunting and eating anymore, right? The difference between them and human beings is that human beings don't let the old and the infirm wither away. They take care of them through whatever structures, right? Family structures, social structures, whatever that might be. So when this began, right, whenever humans began to collaborate and work together, people who were young would have done the work and would have provided for everyone else until they became too old, and then the next generation repays the faith, and it continues, right? Yeah. So obviously, at some stage in life, you become incapable of contributing, but you rest on your laurels, so to speak, because the society would take care of you, your family unit would take care of you. Now, what is happening? Why are older people paid more if they are actually not contributing as much as younger people? And the reason is simply that they actually have more. They do have bigger families, right? By the time people are older, they're probably married, they have children, they have liabilities, they have loans, and their needs are actually more than a young person's needs. So the reason why older people are paid more is because they need more, and nothing else. Right?
What?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah, no. If you have an EMI, you have children to put through school.
Correct. Yeah.
No, think about why is it considered okay? Like there should be protests in the streets, right? If you look at any company where you have these old fogies who are not actually contributing anything, continuing to earn more than the people who are actually working hard. Every single industry that you look at.
I don't think so, man. They will get thrown out. No, like there is a certain value that you bring about as a result.
Exactly, this certain value. Yeah, what is that? That is the HIPPO, right? It is basically you flaunting supposed experience.
Not necessarily. Come on. I mean, there's a difference because you're technically
Because we are trying to
sort of-
justify it in our mind, and we all have internalized it and justified it, right? By the way, FI, I'm not against it. I'm just questioning it, and I'm just shedding light on it, because it is the same logic. Ultimately, it is the same logic. It wouldn't work in any other way. Yeah.
No. But I'm saying that the companies are not paying you because you have higher needs, right? The companies are paying you based on the amount of responsibility that you've generally taken on. Why?
Okay. Generally taken on, right? So you are getting rewarded for something you did in the past. That is what broadly I'm trying to say.
No, not in the past. The P&L that you handle or whatever, right?
Well,
technically,
your P&L that you handle ultimately is handled by a big team under you, where some slight monkey is doing
which
the
you're
hard
driving.
work.
You're sort of going with the assumption that leadership has the potential to drive results in a particular direction. That's the
It's
fundamental
a belief.
assumption.
It's an assumption and a belief. I agree. See,
correct.
I'm not questioning it or I'm not challenging it. I'm saying it is an extension of where we have come from. Right? We have to justify a way to take care of people through their dotage.
I would say it's a different way because technically you would have had communities where there are fewer older people and more young people, right? By way of life expectancy and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, it became a question of amongst the collective dividing resources, right? So let's say in a family unit, if you have 10 kids and 2 adults, who decides who gets how much amount of food, for instance, right? And you can't have the young ones fighting amongst each other, whether it's lions or humans, to say how much should go to each person. Therefore, you looked at someone who could sort of take this on, and it inevitably became the elder person, which just kept accentuating his status as they aged as well, right? It's just a question of fair.
The elder person was the provider at that stage. When you have 10 kids and 2 adults, only the adults are going to hunt. Everyone else is dependent on what the adults bring to the table, right? There were obviously older people also. Like there are these 2 adults who went to hunt, and there were 4 parents above them who are not able to hunt anymore. But they were the people who used to hunt, right? 10 years back, they were the people who used to hunt, and they fed these kids, and that's how they are now hunters. Now, the way this cycle perpetuates is if you continue to provide, because otherwise, what is the incentive? Otherwise, you go back to being animals, right? If you're not actually.
Right. So you're saying even when you're not providing, there is a respect that is given to them. No, I'm buying your point.
Like, go to the industrial age, no? Like, let's go to the factory, the assembly line.
Yeah.
Who could work on assembly lines, right? People who were young and able and were fast enough to deal with heavy machinery were the people who were actually doing the work, right? Or the people who are capable of carrying the coal across, whatever. Were the people who were able to do work, right? Now, why do you think we had pensions? Why do you think we had social security for older people? All of that was a way to, and you don't have to provide any of those things, right? You can just say you're expendable. The day you're out, right? But we never had that. We always had a way to take care of people once they were too old to work, right?
Yeah.
Everything else that is getting instituted, every institution builds on the previous institution that existed. It's my simple fundamental point. And it's okay. I'm not questioning it or anything. But unfortunately, the reverse of this is that there is a certain amount of self-fulfilling prophecy that happens because people are according me respect and reverence. I think the same point that you made. Because people are according me the respect and reverence for my age and my tenure and for the fact that I have several medals under my belt, I sort of get carried away by that and think that I'm actually adding a lot of value with my uncling. And it would help for both sides to kind of take it a little easy and so stop touching the feet of elders. I would start from there because then they feel compelled to bless you because they feel, oh, maybe I should bless now. Right. So
that's a cultural thing. But this is why I said LinkedIn is the uncle platform, because it still has markers of hierarchy. Right. You have a title attached to you saying, oh, CEO of X company is posting content. Therefore, content comes with certain tags and labels, right?
Correct.
As opposed to any other social media where it's just a random handle, like at Nitins or at Naughty Tony, where you don't know who is what, right? You don't know that Mohan Krishnamurthy is Associate Deputy Pro Vice Chancellor of RMIT, for instance, right? You're
CEO of
hey, our CEO, right? So that's why I call LinkedIn the uncle platform, as it were.
True. Okay. But it's not the uncling platform. It is a platform where you flaunt your uncledom because it gives you respect.
No, and also
Basically,
the same pressure of laughing at senior joke in
Correct.
town hall happenings,
Yeah,
where you have to hit
it's a
like, you
charade.
have to hit
Yeah.
reshare.
You have to
Wow,
find
what
it
a wonderful
insightful.
Tony
Yeah.
Sebastian.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone participates in the charade, right? So it's you said people touching elders' feet is cultural. I'm saying LinkedIn is exactly the same thing. It is
Okay, fine.
everything is what is culture? Culture is everything. Everything is everything.
Okay.
What?
So let's move into the realm of how aging has changed as science is advanced, right?
Oh fuck. Simple example, man. Like I keep talking about Kamal Hassan in every podcast that we talk about, right? So Kamal Hassan turns 70 this year. He does look 70 and all of that. Go back and look at Sivaji Ganesan, who was like, the earlier generation's version of Kamal Hassan, right? When he was 70.
Yeah.
He was close to infirm when he was 70. He looked like an old, completely incapable of handling himself human being.
Correct.
As opposed to our 70 years old people now. In fact, forget Indian cinema, right? Like, look at the biggest Hollywood film of recent times. The two biggest films were Mission Impossible, 7.2.1 and Formula One, which both star 60-year-old actors, right? Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. There's an entire different angle about why old men continue to play young roles while older women don't get to play younger roles. But let's leave that aside for a moment. But you look at both these
There's
men
a
in their
beautiful
60s.
video yesterday. I think it was from one Telugu movie or something, where the protagonist is actually in real life.
I saw that. Yeah. His mother is in the 20s and the heroine is in the 30s.
31. Heroine is 37.
And heroine is
And
37.
the mother is blessing the 62-year-old guy.
Let's not go into that.
Anyway,
yeah. Oh, in a recent Tamil film, not that recent also, I think it came a couple of years back, really bad film. So Rajnikant, it's a Rajnikant movie. There is a woman who plays his grandmother in that film who is actually younger than him.
I'm sure. Which is why we are not getting into the whole man-woman thing, because we'll never be able to do justice.
Yeah, because that's a different topic. We should talk about that. But look at Tom
should
Cruise
talk
and Brad
about
Pitt,
it
right?
with some actual perspective.
Yeah, true that. But look at Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, right? In their 60s, obviously there's a lot of medical science and cosmetic support that they get, and a lot of money and resources that have gone into it. But it is true that generally the people we see around us, as awareness around health, fitness, nutrition increases, we are all aging far more gracefully than we would have been able to, even 20 years back. And and it's equally true of the next generation will age far more gracefully and live for much longer than a lot of us will. And it's remarkable to see that. I think again, maybe every generation feels this way, but I definitely, as our generation, I feel is getting to witness some very real extremes. I don't know if the next generation will see that big a drastic, difference between their grandparents and say their children or their grandchildren, as we would, as our generation, when it comes to just aging and longevity. It's my thought. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with you, but I think across, whenever we've sort of seen the last couple of centuries, lifespans have continued to increase, as have health spans, right? And there's this very classic fallacy of people saying, "Oh, look at our grandparents' age; they used to live till 100." That isn't the other. It is because like lots of people died.
Everyone
young,
has
only
died,
see the survivors, right? So basic classic survivorship bias. But largely, it is true that lifespans have increased continuously. Health spans have also increased. What has also now increased is that everyone wants to sell you protein, and like Amul has some 300 different protein products that they push to you at any point in time, right? So I think generally the awareness around what to eat, how to eat, and how to sort of do things has also changed, which is
so we still have 30 years to go before we become uncles, right?
Correct. No, we have 30 years to go before we reach our peak potential, right? So think of these as early days of leftover lasagna. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
When
At the age of 75, I won't recognize the uncle that I was when I was 40.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
But as you said, it's integration by parts. So we are slowly getting there.
What are the things that still, in nature or otherwise, that are a source of wonder to you and innocence? Do you think wonder and innocence and curiosity in that sense is something that fades with age, or can you continue to cultivate it? If you see a beautiful night sky full of stars, right? It still fills me with wonder. I love going to a planetarium. It's like one place where you're like, fuck, amaze. Nature kitna mast hai, as someone would say.
Yeah.
The other thing is probably in terms of friendships, right? And how it's come to mean so much more as you age, where it's no longer about sort of having groups of people where you just have a evening of fun. Is actually that you are able to cultivate more meaningful friendships, fewer in number, where you get to be like actually sort of vulnerable, know that everyone's going through the same shit, which is what happens in a space of vulnerability, and sort of from there go deeper, right? And I find that immensely rewarding, and probably definitely a function of being at this age and stage of life, right? To me, the extrapolation becomes something like the Thursday Murder Club, right? Which is like a senior living facility where a bunch of people hang out and have fun, right? Which should be the ideal sort of late stage for you.
See, when you're young, right? Or when I was younger, at least, every time I saw something new that I never seen before, it would blow my mind.
True.
I think as you continued, and it would not just things that you see, right? It's even things you learn, things you experience, whatever, right? When you learn something new, it sort of will expand your mind and your thinking. I think as you grow older, I don't know if there are two or three things at play, right? One is your learning ability. Sadly, I think does diminish. At least in my case, I think my learning ability with age has diminished, right? I don't want to engage with a lot of very complex kind of concepts because I just wonder what is the point, right? Like
hey, you engage with me, da. What is
it? That is why it puts me off everything else. Right, that's one. Second, we are living in a world with information glut, so I don't know what the interaction between these various things are, right? But we have way too much of stimulation at our fingertips.
That's what she said.
It's very hard to engage deeply with anything without being very discerning and very conscious about it, right? So that's number two. But as a result of both of these interactions, what I think tends to happen as you grow older, at least with me, is I seek joy and get joy from a lot of familiar things that I'm repeating rather than necessarily looking for new experiences.
Depth.
Right? I don't know. I don't even know what is depth, right? Like I was telling you, I was holidaying a couple of weeks back. Another new country, another new mountain, another new sea, another lake, and we're just walking. The same night sky, but from a different place, from a different angle, different vistas. It is basically the same thing that you have done maybe 5 times, 10 times, 15 times in the past in your life. But you enjoy it every time afresh because you kind of find joy in the familiarity of doing things that caused and evoked wonder in you earlier, rather than necessarily looking at, okay, this is too boring. No, I need something else. I want to go to Mars now. It's not basically the way any of us is looking at life. Whereas I think if you ask a child, for instance, right, a child would be very excited by the idea of going and seeing something completely new or something afresh. I don't know if any of this is making sense. I'm just rambling.
No, it does make sense. Yeah. You're shrinking the surface area of serendipity, but doing so intentionally.
Yeah, or rather, the surface area of serendipity is automatically shrunk due to a variety of factors. One is life experiences itself. You've actually seen a lot so far, and you're like, also there's way too much that is trying too hard to grab your attention, and you're like being skeptical about engaging with them. All of which force you to sort of go back and double down. It's the same reason why you rewatch a movie that you love, right?
Oh yeah.
Or rewatch a show that you love, right? Correct. And one of the things that has really changed, I watched my favorite show like 5 times or 6 times. I have largely now gone into that zone where I would rather go deeper and deeper into experiences that were rewarding the first time. To some extent, I think all of us do it, right? Why do we go back and watch great catches, which we have seen before? Or every time we see and ultimately there are only so many catches, right? And we've seen them before. Every new cricket catch that you watch is a variant of some other catch you watched before, but you love it, right? When you see a sudden compilation of a bowler taking wickets, which you've seen before. I think we all do it in different ways for different things. But yeah, I don't know if this answers your question. It's just
No, I think, see, two parts to it. One is like saying no to new experiences can be an outcome of cynicism, where you're saying that, I've seen so much. It, what is the big deal about it? Or it can come out of saying,
I've
I know
seen so
exactly
much
what I
out of
want.
which I really love these things, and I would love to do them again and
Correct.
again, over and
Yeah,
over again.
exactly.
Yeah, that's where
So it's a positive frame rather than
it's
a
a positive frame.
cynical
It's not a
frame.
negative frame. It's not at all a cynical
Yeah.
frame. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
so what is the point of this new thing that you're saying? Is it actually going to be better than this older thing that I saw? If not, let me just do that older thing again.
So your
I know for
evaluation of
sure.
opportunity cost has a component of residual experience or experience that you've had in the past, and the impact of it, right? So
I think it's true for all of
something's
us. Yeah,
eventually.
I think it's
Yeah,
true
yeah,
for all
correct.
of us. We might not
It's
realize it or articulate it as easily, or until maybe at some stage in life, everyone sort of zero, which is what you're talking about. At the Thursday Murders Club, the reason why
Yeah,
as you grow older, right, lots of people actually enjoy the routine and
correct.
the
Yeah,
sameness of doing things. Maybe that is what growing old is, or is it growing wise? I don't know. Both.
yeah. It might be. I mean, I think at the end of the day, your comfort food is possibly something that you've had a lot of times, right? What you go
Exactly.
back to.
Yeah.
And I think there's
As
this
opposed to
frame.
this new Michelin restaurant that you have to kind of book like 3 months in advance and stand in line to go,
Yeah.
because they're going to give you a new mind blowing food experience. I'm like, hang on, like, I actually rather want to go to that, Pandi restaurant that PGK recommended, because that is something that would excite me a lot more, because it is going to be a new
Correct.
spin on something that I already know and enjoy. So,
Yeah.
there you
True. Fair. Okay. I think
go.
somewhere and all we've got.
I don't know.
All right. So this was episode 41. We are well healed into our 40s now and showing signs of black, white, and gray, right?
Auntie.
But we will pledge to die another day because I think grays are attractive. So until next time, hopefully, Nitin, you are not jetting off to another continent anytime soon.
No, it's all
Please.
Asia. It's all Asia, but I'm in multiple
It's all
different cities in the
Asia.
next few days.
Yeah, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll be back. Till then, this is oh, please, we are not dying. So like, share, subscribe, and we are not intending to keep this going till 70, hopefully. So please reward us now only. Right now we are only crediting ourselves. Please, you also
Yeah.
credit us. Until next time, this is Tony and Nathan saying bye. Bye bye.
Bye.